In November 1949, I entered Sikkim chasing a forgotten plateau and a forbidden peak, just as winter closed its fist around the Himalaya. What followed was a race against cold altitude and the limits of what we thought we knew.
Hey, glad you're here. Welcome to the Himalayan Journals. Here on this channel, we bring to you real stories from century old field notes. We try to keep it simple and calm here. Think of it as a documented history of the Himalayas from the early 1900s, covering stories of indigenous wisdom, epic expeditions, and groundbreaking science passed on just as they were recorded. Subscribe, zone out, binge.
I had chosen November of 1949 for my journey into Sikkim. The late season worried me, since the higher valleys could hold extreme cold, yet my memories of October visits returned with equal force. Those earlier journeys had brought bad weather, fresh snow, and clouds that never seemed to lift. I reminded myself that the clear, dry window between the monsoon and winter seldom arrived before the end of October. I also recalled the ascent of Kabru by G.R. Cook on the 18th of November, 1935, and the long stay of C.R. Cook and H.G.J. Hunt in the Sebo Glacier region during October and November of 1937. Their success gave me courage to try again at this late time of year. The monsoon of 1949 had lingered. Rain still fell in the lower valleys on 29th October, and the high mountains hid in cloud. Then November arrived and brought a remarkable change. For more than 3 weeks, the sky stayed clear, the peaks shone in clean blue light, and the weather held steady. Yet in the Himalaya, 3 weeks passed quickly, and by the end of the month, clouds had returned to the upper heights to remind me of the winter waiting above. With 4 to 5 weeks at hand, I planned a small expedition with 2 aims. First, I hoped to reach a snow plateau south of Pauhunri that appeared unexplored. Second, I wished to attempt Kangchen Jao, 22,603 feet from the north. Earlier travelers had visited the Sebo, which rises from the Kongyong Glacier, and I reviewed their accounts. Gourlay and Auden had reached about 16,500 feet in 1934. Captain Sams visited in 1936, and later that year, Mrs. Townend followed a similar line. Their journeys clarified the ground, but left room for further knowledge. I was joined by M. Hruska, a Czech skier from Calcutta, and by a strong Sherpa team led by Angthar Kai, with Dawa Thondup, Arjiba, Sona, and Mingma Sitar. We left Calcutta on the 29th of October and reached Gangtok the next day. 4 days of marching brought us to Lachung. On the 4th of November, we turned east up the Cangchen Chu Valley, stopping at the hut in Dombang. From there, the days grew colder, the sunshine shorter, and the valley increasingly empty. The march toward the Kongyong Glacier tested the porters. We reached 14,000 feet above its snout, and frost in the night convinced them that a reconnaissance was wise before we climbed higher. The next day, we explored the moraine and discovered a route that led gently onto the plateau. Encouraged, we placed Camp 2 at about 15,500 feet. The climb remained difficult, and Hruska began to suffer from mountain sickness, yet he pressed on to avoid weakening the party. At last, we reached the plateau, a vast white plain stretching ahead for 2 miles. The eastern side rose in broken icefalls, peaks of 22,079 and 22,674 feet rose in guarded positions with steep defenses that we could not attempt. Our task became the search for a way out. A possible col toward the west proved impossible. We crossed the plateau in deep snow and placed Camp 4 at about 18,000 feet below a red rock. The next morning, we climbed through crevasses and soft snow and reached a hidden pass between peaks 21,740 and 19,270 feet. From there, the view stretched westward into a valley draining toward the Jacang Chu. Our descent took us through dangerous crevasses, then easier moraine, and by afternoon, we camped above 2 frozen lakes. That evening, Angthar Kai called out with excitement, and I joined him to see Kangchen Jao glowing in the sunset. We descended the Jacang Chu the next day and returned to Mom Samdong. After a rest, Hruska, still unwell, left with Sona. We replaced him with Lakpa Tundu and prepared for the second part of the journey, the attempt on Kangchen Jao. Following the old accounts of Dr. A.M. Kellis, I hope to reach the 21,000-foot col he used in 1912. On 14th November, we crossed the Donkyala and camped near Guru Dongmar Cho. The approach to the glacier worried me, and in searching for an easier route, I made an error, choosing a col that proved useless. We turned back, and in the yak herder's hut at Donkung, I persuaded the Sherpas to try again by Kellis's line. On 19th November, we placed a camp at 19,000 feet below the slopes to the col. The night brought 36 degrees of frost and unbroken wind. The next day, we climbed toward the col. But the cold grew intense, the slopes stayed in shadow, and frostbite became a real danger. Although Angthar K showed remarkable resolve, the others were struggling, and I gave the order to retreat. The mountain had beaten us. We reached Gangtok on the 26th of November. The journey had been full of clear days, bitter nights, and hard choices, yet the mountains had given their own reward. I ended the expedition remembering the words of Dr. Kellis, who once wrote that mountaineering is the most philosophical sport in the world.